Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Harrison Talks Pod, episode 47. I hope you had a great holiday, great Christmas, and after this, I hope you have a great new year, depending on when you're listening to this. Perhaps it's already over. Perhaps we're listening to this in the future. Did you take a shower this year already? You know what I mean. Anyways, feeling good. Had a nice day of Christmas Day basketball. Unfortunately, I can't watch all of it live because it starts at midnight my time. But hope you watched it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you watched your football and everything too. That's all good. Today we have three segments for you. Didn't want to talk about the Spurs so early. I try to mix things up, talk about new teams every week, but we gotta. Last time we talked about them 2 weeks ago, the storyline was they keep winning without Victor Wembanyama. Now the storyline is they've beat OKC 3 times with Victor Wembanyama on the bench averaging 21 minutes per game. That's the storyline. So, we'll start with that. We'll knock that out. We'll talk about why they're so successful and why, if they can have a formula to beat the OKC Thunder, they most likely have a formula to beat any other team in this league. Then we'll transition. We're going to have fun talking about the Bulls today. We talked about the Bulls way back in the beginning of the season when they won 5 in a row. But then they lost 5 or 6 in a row. And then they won 5 in a row. And then they lost. And, well, once again, they've won 5 in a row. So every time they won 5 in a row, let's just talk about them. Let's just do that. Let's talk about if they're a real team with real potential. Could they stay in the play-in mix? But gotta put more eyeballs on them. They might be the streakiest team in the NBA right now. And then finally, we'll end today's episode talking about the Brooklyn Nets. At the time of this recording, they have won 2 in a row, 6 of their last 9. They started the season 3-16, so I've been avoiding talking about them all season. Now is the perfect time to do that because they're playing right now as I speak. They could lose tonight. Who knows? So let's talk about them before that window closes. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. If you're on YouTube, Harrison Talks Pod is a part of, where is it? SidePanel. Wait, there it is. SidePanel Network. SidePanel Network also includes my other podcast, Nintendo Therapy, one that I'm a part of, obviously, weekly Nintendo podcast. A lot of news that always comes out. That comes out every week. It also includes things like my gaming channel, but hey, I've been talking for 3 minutes already. We got to talk about NBA basketball. All of those links are always in the description. Let's go. So then we will start today by talking about the red hot San Antonio Spurs. They've won 8 in a row. They are 9-1 in their last 10, and they are only 2.5 games behind the OKC Thunder, which at one point was 24-1. So 23-7, and I've heard a lot of outlets mention over and over again that, of course, they will own the tiebreaker if it were to ever come down to that between them and OKC. So there is that. They've won 3 of those 8 games against the Thunder, and somebody else check me on this because I'm pretty sure I would be right with saying this. They won those 3 games at home, away, and at a neutral location in the last 10 days. I'm pretty sure no other team has ever done that before. Home, away, and a third location. Undisclosed. Disclosed, I know. Anyways. But Yes, all signs lead up, and I think in these last 8 games, everything that you would want to see from this Spurs team, whether it's playing in the half court, playing in transition, having an even better defense than what you started with, which was a top half defense in the league. Everything has just gotten better alongside still having Victor Wembanyama come off the bench. And I've really enjoyed that. I've spoken on here, speaking about like when Kevin Durant was the 10th man on the Olympic team. I think Durant even had a game where he came off the bench playing for the Nets, I believe, or maybe it was the Warriors. Maybe it was that long ago. I know Steph had. Uh, did he have a playoff series where he came off the bench? I think that's very cool. One to show that it's fine. Who cares? It's more about who ends the games and who starts the games. But also, I just think it's a matchup nightmare because if you're game planning against the Spurs, you know that that first unit has to execute right off the bat because then how do you game plan with your second unit having Victor Wembanyama come in? Or do you stagger your starting rotations? That's most likely what a lot of teams do. So every all the signs look up is what I want to start by saying. In their last 8 games they've won, they are plus 15.3 in their net rating. Their season average is 6.9. They've won these 8 games by an average of 14.6 points. Crazy. Crazy. And a lot of the signs shows that this is something that can be replicated. They're doing it against the best team in the league. Still, right? Still the best team in the league, right? And they were doing it without Wembanyama, and now they're doing it with Wembanyama. It's just very unique that it's happening with him on the bench. And of course, it's happening with a lot of young players, some great veteran players, some very important veteran players. But the main core of this that is producing on both ends is coming from these really young players. Um, I guess it shouldn't be surprised that it's happening within the Spurs system, but I can't believe we're at this point with the Spurs and the Thunder. Not even a year, not even 6 months ago. I guess 6 months ago. When was June? 7 months ago, we were saying, do we feel like we're ready for the Thunder to win a championship? This feels early. And then, fast forward 6 months later, a few weeks ago, we were saying, oh, what happens if the Thunder win 74 games? That who knows? That might be out. Who knows? I don't know what they're on average to do. It might still be 70 for all I know. Whatever it is, it can't be. There's no way. It couldn't be 70, but we're moving on. But the fact that Spurs are right there with them and kind of creating this fun rivalry, I know like between Wembanyama and Chet, there's some things and they're both very competitive, but it's mostly a competition thing, right? They don't get matched up on each other too much when they play against each other. They obviously have known each other since before they were in the league, so more competitive spirit than anything, right? Their pace has improved. For the season, it's above 100. So their pace is still in the top half of the league. In the last 8, it shot up to 102.2. So that's even better. Turnovers have improved. And of course, turnover percentage and their assisted turnover ratio has improved as well. This team loves to run in transition, run off turnovers, loves to push the pace, and matching up against the Thunder, that was evident. That was evident because that's something that the Thunder usually likes to do, and something the Spurs were able to anchor better than the Thunder. So while pace and turnover control is one part of that puzzle, let's talk about the half court offense on both ends as well. Talking about the Spurs defense, and this includes, of course, 3 games against the Thunder in the last 8. In the Spurs' last 8, their defensive rating is outstanding at 106.8. That's just super good for this fast-paced modern NBA. For the season, it's 112. Really good still. Their opponent's efficiency dropped. Their opponent's free throw rate dropped by a couple hundredths of a percentage. So that is all a good sign, especially when you're matching up against the Thunder, who like to play in transition and like to try and get to the free throw line. Uh, the Thunder's scoring efficiency dipped, and that wasn't something that was just natural. That was something that the Spurs played an impact on. So, Wembanyama is back, and um, even playing limited minutes, still the best defensive player in this league. And when he's on the floor, is just putting up some really crazy numbers. In the last 8 games, well, actually, let's say this: when Wembanyama played the 3 games against OKC, with him on the floor, they averaged 0.91 points per possession, which would be equivalent to the worst offense in the league. So that's against the Thunder. Wembanyama on the floor impacts that much. His overall defensive rating on the floor in the last 8 games is 89.5. And yes, season average on minutes 30.3, but in these last 8 games, it's been 21.6. So, how does it get better for other teams? It's a lot of fun to watch, but the rotations and the depth and trying to figure out how do you stagger your depth and your front court to prepare for him coming off the bench, and who knows, maybe by next week he's in the starting lineup. I'm not really too sure about that. So of course their structure did not fall apart. We had a great example of that since Wembanyama was injured. That's, of course, that's the only silver lining to being injured. We knew that there was a structure there without him, and then the inclusion of him has just been even more impressive. That's why we're doing 2 segments in like 3 weeks on this team. What else? Uh, in the backcourt, De'Aaron Fox's usage rate has gone down these last 8 games, but his assist to turnover ratio is way better, and his overall net rating has doubled from his season average. Net rating in the last 8 games is plus 14.9. Steph Castle, my guy. His offensive rating these last 8 games is 123.4. Usage has gone up to 28%, and his defensive responsibility is still the same, maybe even more so than before. Dylan Harper, stable usage. His efficiency numbers have gone up. His defensive rating has improved, and he's been great as a secondary playmaker. So they don't have a single initiator, and they can certainly hold the offense when Wembanyama is off the floor. Had examples of that prior to the win streak, and we are seeing that now. So just gotta pay attention to this team. Just Really, really fun. All right, let's kind of wrap up this last part here. So, overall, in the last 8 games, offense has just improved points per game. Field goal percentage has gone up slightly. 3 point has just looking better and better. So, hey, we're talking better pace, better transitioned offense, better 3 point shooting, better decision making overall with a better defense. So, I just don't have a lot of like negatives to say. Their transition offense these last 8 games has looked great. Their points in the paint has improved from 50.8 to 53.3. That's great. They take a very high percentage of their shots from inside the 3 point line and shooting decent from three. So I don't know. I have nothing bad to say, I guess. Bottom line, I think this is repeatable. I think this is sustainable. Could they get in the first? Sure. I think so. And I think it started with us saying, would they remain a top 14? But I guess if Wembanyama would have remained healthy last year, we would have seen what they would have looked like in the playoffs. So there's been a lot of what ifs so far in a very, very short career for him. So let's move ahead and talk about the Chicago Bulls. So, as I mentioned at the top, I would like to make my case on the Chicago Bulls being the most streaky team in the NBA this season. And I guess there is worse things you can be. You could just be losing games, then you're not streaky at all. But the last time we talked about them, they had won 5 games to start their season. And then I think they've had multiple 5 or 6 game losing streaks. And perfect time to bring them up again because they have now won 5 in a row. They are playing as I speak, so who knows? Every team I'm playing about played right at 8 o'clock, right when I hit record today. So it's in the future. They're also in ninth place right now. So they are right at 500. They're in all of those red teams in the play-in, Cavaliers, Heat, Bulls, Hawks. Yeah, they're all red colored, kind of. I guess Cavaliers is more wine. Anyways, we gotta move on. Uh, so I think there's a lot of reasons why this team goes on streaks, whether it's winning games, whether it's losing games, and I guess I'll just start by saying that while I don't think they're going to compete with top teams in the league or in the East, uh, we can still make positives out of this. There are still good parts about it, and when I'm tuning into this team as a non-fan, I'm just looking for good basketball. Unfortunately, I think this team does kind of win and lose by whether their shot is falling. And I question sometimes whether this team can or is willing to offer variance and to adapt when that shot is not falling. So I'd like to go over a couple of win loss splits for you because it can be pretty extreme looking at the ranges and the box scores. When they win games, they are shooting very well. They are shooting upwards of 58% on many nights. Effective field goal percentage is above 60. True shooting percentage can be close to 70 on nights where they win. On losses, it goes down usually by a lot. Field goal percentage usually somewhere in the low 40s. True shooting percentage somewhere in the low to mid 50s. It's just not a normal shooting variance. Not certainly not for a team that is in the middle at 500, which Hey, I think 500 for this team right now, it could be a lot worse. Looking at other teams in the league. Um, but is there going to be some kind of tone shift or some way where they're offering efficiency on parts of their offense and their shots just start to fall more consistently? But I think most people would say they just don't have enough offense to compete with some of those top teams. So there is that. Um, their attempts from three in losses goes down. Their points from the 3-point line go down by a lot in losses. Just not a very stable shot diet for a team that you would expect to be in the play-in or playoff picture. So it really just depends on whether their shots are falling because the Bulls haven't really shown that they have a great safety net on nights where their shots are not falling. So, talking more about wins and losses. On wins, on nights where they do win, their turnover percentage and their assisted turnover ratio both look very good. But in losses, some nights their assisted turnover ratio can be all the way down at 1.1. So turnovers are a big part to why they are losing so many games at 500, why they are going on so many losing streaks. Let's let's say it like that. Their defensive rating ranges by quite a bit in their wins and their losses. In wins, it ranges from 103 to 115. In losses, it ranges from 120 all the way to 132. Had that crazy 152 to 150 game against the Hawks this past week. So um, the Bulls do have some pretty big swings, and they sometimes do have big collapses. But the good news is they are showing they do have a somewhat of a clean formula on nights where they do win. We'll talk about Josh Giddey here in just a moment, but of course, a lot of their offensive identity on nights where they win come from ball movement. That looks great when they win. Always over 31 assists on nights where they win. Assist percentage is way up. Their pace on nights where they win, pretty good, between 100 and 105 possessions. So they are getting out and running, and they are moving the ball around and getting a lot of different touches. So yeah, let's talk about Josh Giddey. His assist percentage is right at 40%. That's great. Assist ratio is at 30 at a 25% usage and has a neutral, let's say neutral, negative zero point 0.8 net rating. So, um, has nights where he's contributing the wins, and he's having nights where he might be more pressured into mistakes. Certainly a floor and ceiling player when you're looking at this Chicago Bulls team, at least for now. Nikola Vucevic, I think he's had a decent season, half court stabilizer. In these last 5 wins, he's had a plus 12.3 in his net rating, is turning the ball over less, doesn't really have a high usage, but offers a lot on the interior. So that is all good. Trey Jones pushes the pace a lot when he's on the floor. His pace is at a 107. In these last 5 wins, his net rating is a plus 14.7 and has not been turning the ball over very much. So that is all very good and very complimentary as well. Miles Muzelis has had a very efficient season, shooting 60%, 48% from three, 73% effective field goal percentage, and is a positive 6.4 in his net rating. So offers spacing, offers rim pressure, doesn't need to take over possessions. Really excited to see how he progresses in this league. Kobe White's having a solid season, averaging 19.2 points per game, 5.4 assists. True shooting percentage is at a 63%, positive net rating. Jalen Smith, in his limited minutes, is at a positive net rating, and defensive rating when he's on the floor is a 104.2. Zach Collins is shooting the ball very well in his limited minutes, positive net rating, and has a 13 on his player impact estimate. So just overall, offering a lot of good play when he's on the floor. Kevin Herter shooting 50% from the field, positive in his net rating. Isaac Okoro is more on the low or negative impact. He is at a negative 10 net rating for the season. His defensive activity doesn't really offset his offense, but I don't know. I think that might improve as well. Patrick Williams, not so sure about though. Negative net rating, not shooting the ball well, doesn't have a good player impact estimate when he's on the floor, not rebounding the ball well, which is not surprising, but has a very low rebounding percentage when he's on the floor. So, in this win streak, of course, the Bulls were playing a much more cohesive, coherent style of basketball. They were a 123 offensive rating in these last 5 games, positive 6.7 in their net rating. Their assist numbers are up. Their turnover ratio is up by a significant amount, and they're averaging 35.2 assists per game in these last 5 games. But yes, did they win this game while I'm talking now? In these last 5 games, they have averaged over 31 assists per game. They've won the fast break points in each of those games. They've won the rebounding in each of those games. And they've won the fourth quarter in each of those 5 games as well. So we get to end with some positivity. So, yes, if I'm a Bulls fan, not thinking about playoff runs or anything, um, can we make some sort of trade, put something else next to Josh Giddey? But if anything, it could be a lot worse. Is that a good way to say it? Perhaps it's not. Anyways, I wanted to talk about the Bulls today because they've been winning. Let's move on. So now we will talk about the team that I have talked about the least so far this season, but that'll all change here in just a few minutes. And it's a team that has been maybe the lowest or second lowest on my League Pass rankings this season, but that all might change as well. We'll see. I mentioned it at the top. That is the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets started out 3-16 on the season, but as I talked, they've won the last two. They are playing right now, like all the other teams today. And they have won 6 of their last 9. Not sure what their aspirations are. Not sure if they do have serious play-in aspirations. They are currently 9-19. There is 4 games that separate 10th place Hawks and the Nets in 13th place. But certainly has improved from the first 20 games or so. Usually, first 20 games is a nice snapshot, and they're playing much better basketball now than I would have expected. Now's the time to talk about them because we've had some nice individual performances, we've had some nice coaching performances, and Cam Thomas is about to come back. What does that all mean for this team? And what is this team planning to do for this season? Is it just going to be a rebuild? Is there another move coming down the pass? I think there could be a trade, but none of those rumors for today. So early on in the season, very, very rough. Looking at the box scores, most uh, of these first 20 games, defensive ratings is between 120 to 140. Multiple games where they are allowing 60 or more points in the paint. These last 9 games, their defense has been great, 102.8. They're in a positive net rating at plus 9.3. They've stabilized their opponent's efficiency. Their opponent's effective field goal percentage is right around 52% these last 9 games. And their opponent's paint points has decreased. It's still at 51.8 for the last 9 games, but that has been a slight improvement as well. So under Jordi Fernandez, I think we see more switching, we see more breakdowns in the short roll, just maybe more balance inside and out between paint and perimeter. Just what I've kind of watched and seen this last week or so, now that I'm actually paying more attention to this team, it makes them, I think, more competitive than compared to the beginning of the season, but still just not as much confidence as maybe would have for the Bulls, who I just talked about, who are a 500 team and do sit right in the middle of the play-in picture. Defensive rebounding looked poor beginning of the season. Um, Allowing second chance points beginning of the season looked very bad. In the last 9 games, uh, they're averaging 44 rebounds per game, up from 40.6 on the season, and they're allowing less second chance points on that end of the basketball. That end of the floor, or whatever I'm trying to say. I guess all means the same thing. Let's talk about Michael Porter Jr. A lot of impact goes through him. Obviously, offering the Nets different levels of offense, cleaner driving lanes, easier reads for secondary handlers, more space for plays on the interior, averaging 25.7 points per game, 49.1 from the field, and 40% from three, and has had a slight increase these last 9 games. Actually, yes, is shooting 46% from 3 point these last 9 games and has a positive 14.4 net rating. So, yeah, some of these numbers are way up during this part of the season. So, just hope this team can be competitive because uh, beginning of the season, I was feeling really, really bad about the very, very bottom of the Eastern Conference. So of course, I will take it. Overall, as a team, they shoot 48.6% of their shots from three, which is very, very high. They average 41.7 points in the paint per game, which is bottom five in the league. And they're only averaging 11.6 fast break points per game, which is bottom five in the league. Very opposite from talking about the Spurs in the first segment, uh, where you would want to see your team succeed in transition, inside and out in their half court offense. There is some bright side, some optimism, and better ball play all around, but is still in the bottom five or bottom half of the league in a lot of offensive categories. So, coaching has certainly fixed their defensive communication. It certainly has helped their rotations. It has certainly helped stabilize their bench. So I think that's all very positive. Of course, it doesn't add overall more talent to your team. Perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps the league is just more talented overall, but it does add competence, is the most important part as well. You have players like Nick Claxton, who has improved a lot these last 9 games, has certainly helped anchor your defense. Last 9 games, his defensive rating is 107.3, averaging 9 rebounds, 5.3 assists. Hey, that's great. While Dayron Sharp is at more of a neutral, a negative zero point 0.9 net rating. In the last 9 games, his net rating has shot up to a positive 12.6 with a 19.3 player impact estimate. So, certainly playing some great basketball when he's on the floor. But talent will override everything. And even if this team could compete in the play in, there's not a star player that this team is built around. And I'm not sure if this team is just looking towards tanking. I forget what picks they have. I forget what that situation is. Cam Thomas, um, is he back now? I think he's back tonight. He was out the last about 2 months. With Cam Thomas, they were 0-7. Defensive rating 128.5. Without Cam Thomas, they've been top 6 in their defensive rating, and they are a positive 10.7 per 100 possessions. Uh, when he's on the floor, has a high usage rate at 31% and is the second highest on dribble per touches at 3.67. Wow. Certainly raises the offensive ceiling, but introduces other problems on the other end of the basket of the ball of the floor, whatever the saying is. But I'm pretty sure that we say both. But I think even though I can't offer good numbers and offer good positivities there, I don't think they're going to lose all their games with Cam Thomas returning to the lineup. And I'll certainly be watching to see how they use Cam Thomas in these rotations compared to these last 2 weeks or so. So let's leave it there. Guys, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things if you're on YouTube. And if you're not, like, subscribe, and leave a comment if the platform allows it. I don't know. I hope you have a great new year, and I will see you next week with some more NBA basketball talk. See you then.